Okay, so let's start with ionic bonding. So earlier I told you guys the ionic bonding जो है, it occurs between metallic and non-metallic element. Okay, so if a metallic element has to bond with a non-metallic element, it will form an ionic bond, right? So the ionic bond होता है, it's also known as an electrovalent bond. ठीक है? It's also called as an electrovalent bond. एंड आयनिक बॉन्डिंग की खास बात यह है कि देर इज नो शेयरिंग ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन्स, इसमें शेयरिंग नहीं होती इलेक्ट्रॉन्स की, इसमें इलेक्ट्रॉन्स का ट्रांसफर होता है। यानी कि यानी कि फॉर एग्जांपल इफ यू हैव एन एटम ए एंड इफ यू हैव एन एटम बी, सो एटम ए विल लूज इट्स इलेक्ट्रॉन्स टू एटम बी, सही, इट विल गिव इट्स इलेक्ट्रॉन्स टू एटम, परमानेंटली दे देगा, राइट, इट विल नॉट शेयर। यानी कि those electrons will be lost atom A से. And because electrons are being lost, so there is less negative charge with A now. So the A will gain a positive charge, and B, because it gained electrons from A, it will gain a negative charge, right? So before we discuss ionic bonding, let's talk about ions. What do you understand by ions? Maham, what are ions? Maham, आपका mic mute है.
I don't know what it is.
Okay, that's okay. Uh, Aslan, would you like to add anything? Would you like to say anything? What are ions? Ions.
Like atoms with elect uh, within a, I don't know.
ठीक है, सही कहने लगे थे.
I think it has something to do with electric charge from
Exactly,
having too many
exactly,
electrons.
exactly. If you have like too many electrons, if an atom has too many electrons, or if it has less electrons, then it becomes charged. Okay. So for example, if you have a sodium atom, okay, if you have like a sodium atom, I don't know how to do that. Second, if you have a sodium atom, so sodium belongs to which group? Group one, right? So sodium belongs to group one. So sodium will have like one electron revolving in its valence shell, right? So sodium has like an valence shell and it has only like a single electron in its valence shell. So it's easier for sodium to just lose this electron instead of gaining 7 electrons, right? So when sodium loses this one electron, so it has it has lost one negative charge, right? Because electrons are all negatively charged. So it has lost one negative charge, right? So normally when atoms are like in their natural state, so they're neutral, right? Means they have equal number of protons and they have equal number of electrons, right? So protons are positively charged. So how many protons are there in sodium? Jaldi se bataye. How many protons are there in sodium? 11. Okay. And to balance those 11 protons, we have 11 electrons, right? So we have 10 in the inner shells, and then we have one electron in the outer shell. So if sodium loses this one electron, right, what happens is now that it has 10 electrons, means it has 10 negative charges, and it has 11 positive charges, right? So how many more positive charges does it have than negative charges? Jaldi. Maham, how many more positive charges does sodium have if it loses one electron? One, right? Only one, plus one. Okay, there are like 10 electrons and there are 11 protons. So there are more protons as compared to electrons, and that's why it has one additional positive charge. So sodium, after losing one electron, will become positively charged, right? So it will be written as Na and plus one. So this right here is an ion, right? It's a charged particle. Now particles can be charged either by losing electrons, in which case they will gain a positive charge. And what if they gain electrons? What if they gain electrons? So for example, we have chlorine, right? We have chlorine. क्लोरीन उसका एलिमेंट किस ग्रुप का एलिमेंट है क्लोरीन रफी chlorine is group 7,
Seven.
right?
Seven.
Hmm. So how many electrons will it have in its valence shell? 7,
Seven.
right? 7 exactly. अच्छा अब मैं अगर 7 इलेक्ट्रॉन यहाँ बनाऊं, so अब मुझे ना Maham, do tell me, is it easier for chlorine to lose these 7 electrons or just gain one?
Gain
Gain one, right? Exactly. Very good. So it's easier for chlorine just to fill this empty spot, right? Instead of just losing all of these 7 electrons and then gaining stability. So it's easier for chlorine to gain one electron. So if chlorine gains an electron from any other element, right? For example, sodium lost one electron. So what if it gives this electron to chlorine? So now chlorine has an additional negative charge, right? So chlorine will now become negatively charged, and this will be converted to a chloride ion. So yeah, so this is a chloride ion, a negatively charged chloride ion, right? So the positively charged sodium and the negatively charged chloride ion will attract each other, and they will form what is known as sodium chloride. Okay, I don't know guys ये क्यों कर रहा है इस तरह से, but they will form sodium chloride, with chloride being the chlorine being negatively charged and sodium being positively charged. इसमें सही से लिखा sodium Na plus Cl negative. Oh my god, क्यों कर रहा है ऐसा करना? Okay. So right here we have a positively charged sodium atom and a negatively charged chloride atom. Sorry, so positively charged sodium ion and negatively charged chloride ion, and together they make an ionic bond. समझ आ गई? So this is known
Yeah.
as sodium chloride. Very easy. And sodium chloride is commonly found in table salt. So this is a very simple concept, ionic bonding and then covalent bond. We'll do one more and we'll move on to metallic bonding, which is the easiest of them all. और इसके बाद we'll conclude. ठीक है? So I'll
इसमें
share.
इसमें ऑक्टेट और डिप्लेट रूट का कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है।
ऑक्टेट नहीं, इसके अंदर मैं ना बताऊंगा, इस अगले वाले में बताता हूँ मैं क्या वो कहाँ लगता है ऑक्टेट टूल वाला कॉन्सेप्ट। I'll share another link, से हो जाए।